Actually, in the run up to this, I was I mean I read We're Here to Hurt Each Other when it first came out,
Mm,
and I
bless you. Thank you.
honestly I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've you know when I first started really getting involved with the independent horror crowd,
Hmm.
there was a triumvirate of writers who I read their work and I was just blown away because I'd never read anything like it. It was Laura Mauro and Georgina Bruce and Priya Sharma.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just didn't realize this stuff was happening in the independent horror
Yeah.
world. And then I read your book as well. We're Here to Hurt Each Other, and that had the same sort of feeling about it, the same impact for me. I was like, I don't
Mm,
believe
thank you.
this. I was reading it and like this is like I don't believe this is actually happening, because you don't. I know. I mean, it sounds really old man. I know, and but I, I didn't realize that stuff was out there. If you look at like
Yeah.
mainstream markets, it's very
Oh,
hard to
for
find
sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, that was, and thank you so much. I love Laura Morrow's work, and I love Via Sharma's work, and I've read some of your work. I need to read more, and I before I we started recording, I made a note like get George's books,
Oh,
and
thank you. Thanks so much.
yeah, because you're one of those people who like I know that you know your stuff,
Hmm.
so if you recommend something, like I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
look
go,
into
yeah.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna go like, oh, like George knows what's up. Like, so, but I mean, I felt the same way when I discovered when I started reading like Thomas Ligotti and
Oh,
Matt Bartlett and these sorts of folks, like it gives you at least for me, it was that same feeling of like I didn't know this was out there, and then
yeah.
also as a writer, it gave me this sense of like, oh, I can do that
Yes.
too. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I can, like there is a place for this.
There's a
You may not see it,
space. Yeah.
right? Yeah, there's space for this. And I think that's really important. A lot of people, and I get what they're saying. Like a lot of people tell don't wait for permission, just write what you
Mm,
want to write. And I get that and I understand it, and I support that idea. But I also feel like if you don't see those same kinds of like that same like approach or
mm.
attitude or I don't know, like that just kind of vibe, I guess,
Yeah.
it makes it harder to kind of see like I guess it I always feel like when you write something it's in conversation with the stuff that's come before and the
Yeah.
stuff that's contemporary to you. And so if you don't see that conversation happening, you feel like I don't know, to me it just feel like I'm just like kind of screaming into a void.
Uh-huh.
And so when you find work that resonates in that specific kind of way, it's like, oh, okay, like I'm not the only one feeling like this. I'm not
Yeah.
the only one seeing these boundaries and trying to push them in a certain way. So yeah, I totally get, and I feel very honored that you see my work in that regard because
Oh,
that is
honestly, yes. I mean, it
definitely something I'm
reminded
trying to do.
it kind of reminded me of when I was a bit younger. I say a bit younger, I mean a lot younger, and discovered like Billy Martin's work, writing as
Oh
Poppy said
yeah.
right, It
Hmm.
I
Hmm. Oh
when
God, yeah, yeah,
when I discovered that stuff, I was like, "Oh my God, we can do this. We have
yeah,
like
yes.
space and permission to do this in the published world. This can happen." I
Absolutely, absolutely. And I remember, I mean, very similarly when I read, it was at that time I was reading a lot of, I know we'll get to him because we have to. I was reading a lot of,
there is
yeah,
a
yeah, we're
name
gonna,
like hanging over this, isn't there? There is
we are
one
going to
name.
get to him, and I won't say it now because I'm talking about. But I was reading him, and I was reading Billy Martin as
Mhm.
Poppy Z. Bright. I was reading a lot of Caitlin R. Kiernan. I was reading a lot of
Yes.
Kathy Koja. And it was all this work that was just like it felt it felt like such a relief
Hmm.
from the kinds of, again, not to knock the kind of mainstream horror, but that didn't reflect my that it just didn't reflect my aesthetic. It didn't reflect
Hmm.
life, my experiences, my reality. I think the queer stuff was part of it, but it was also just like a much sort of darker, more kind of philosophical aesthetic,
Yep.
and finding that was just so. And I remember reading, like, particularly with Billy Martin and Kayla McKiernan, like the music was such a part of it too.
Ah,
And like
yes.
that was really powerful to me, because some of the stuff I was like, who is this? I've never heard of this. But some of the stuff I was like, oh, I listened to them. And like
I
I had
get
never read a
this.
book
Yeah.
that talked about, what I'm right. Like you get it's more than just like a story. Like this is the stuff of those formative years that sets you up for who you're going to be.
Mhm.
um and that, it's just that's just kind of that life changing experience that you have with some writers, and I'm sure that people have those with the more bigger names as well, and that's fine. But it's I think when you are in a, I guess, sort of marginalized position,
Yep.
it's more difficult to find. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I know growing up when I was very young, there was there were set names. There were certain names who predominated horror. And
mhm,
again, as you say, it's not to knock them at all. It's just that they do tend to it tended to be predominated by straight white guys. That just tended
yeah,
to be the
yeah,
thing.
absolutely,
It was
yeah,
Stephen King, it was Dean Koontz, it was
mhm,
it was
mhm,
it was
mhm,
James Herbert here in the UK.
yes, yeah,
And again, I love their work. I absolutely love their work. I grew up with it.
for sure.
Absolutely grew up with it. And I think what tends to happen is if you're interested in that sort of thing growing up, you tend to, because you consume so much of it, you tend to assume that they set the parameters. And it doesn't even occur. I
Right.
know. I know for me, until I discovered Clive Barker, just to get it out, just to get his name out there. Um,
Somebody had to say it. Yeah.
yeah, it had to be, it's the sword of Damocles just hanging over the conversation, isn't it? It just has to happen, right? Don't worry. The people on this channel, they know any
Okay,
discussion
good. I
about
figured as much. Yeah.
writing, or he's gonna come up, he's gonna come up. Um, until I discovered him, it just did not even occur to me that you could write about queer experience and that you could write
Hmm.
horror and fantasy, and in this way that is so uncodified. That's what got me about discovering people
Yeah.
like Barker and Martin. They're writing, even when they're not writing about queer characters or queer relationships, there's something innately so about their work.
Yes.
And it's that
Yes.
sense of ambiguity. I mean, I've always found, particularly with Barker, there is this celebration of the monstrous. There are
Hmm.
not clearly
Hmm.
defined villains and heroes per se. Everyone is flawed in their own particular ways. Everyone is exploring their own paths. And I find that very often Barker and Martin, and a lot of the many of the queer authors in particular that I enjoy,
Hmm.
they do a similar thing, you know and
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
and the reasons for that, I imagine, are incredibly complex, culturally speaking. I mean, one of them, of course, is the
Sure.
fact that we, in and of ourselves, are tend historically to be monstered, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's also, and again, I don't know. Well, for me, it also, because I'm just really interested in like power dynamics, and
Mhm.
so I've always felt like it was a way of like reclaiming the monstrous. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're gonna call me a monster and push me to the fringes of society, but look at all the, look at the power that I have in that, and that I've
Yeah.
accepted that, and that's who I am.
And
And I feel like that's
yeah,
so similar to, like, I don't know, like kind of a queer coming of age in a lot of ways.
I think so.
You
I
have to
think
accept
so.
that thing of, like some people, no matter, what you say to them, or no matter how uh the attitudes, political shifts may happen, like some people are just going to think you are monstrous by
Yeah.
virtue of who you are.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
deciding not to live in fear of that and to live in defiance of that, I think that's particularly like Barker and
It's
Martin and
it's
Kieran,
so
and like
powerful,
that's
isn't it?
yeah, like I think that's a lot of what I got from that, was that, I we're always presented with like this idea that the monster is monstrous and
Mhm.
we have to push it away. We have to vanquish it. We have to
Yeah, like exorcise
get,
the
but it's like,
demon,
yeah, we
etc.,
have to
etc.
exercise the demon, all that. And it's like, what if you just accepted it for what it is? What if you loved it and
Yeah,
that
right.
became your power? And that's that for me, which is really, I mean, life altering. Like I
Likewise,
wouldn't,
likewise.
yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't write
I
what I
do
write, or
recall like the first Barker I read was Weave World, and I
mm-hmm.
read that at the age of 11, which is really too young to be reading that book.
Wow.
Like really well too young to be reading that book, right? But it did. I so remember the experience because it was formative. It blew the
hmm
doors of perception off in the same way that,
Yeah.
like, some narcotics can do. It
Sure. Sure.
burned my developing imagination. It just absolutely expanded parameters and contexts in a way I'd never encountered before, to be honest. Because I mean, like, up
Yeah.
until that point, I mean, Weave World is that wonderful thing that Barker in particular does, where he strays across genres. He doesn't really care about genre
Yeah.
parameters, so he just writes whatever he
hmm
likes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
up until that point, my experience of fantasy was very, very British. It's very sort of
Sure.
prescribed. It was stuff like it was Tolkien, it was C.S. Lewis, and whatnot. And don't get me
hmm
wrong, I love those writers for their sins. It's
Yeah.
very ambiguous. There's a lot of problems with both of them, but
Sure.
I love their work. I absolutely love their work. But it did not, up until Weave World, it really didn't occur to me that you could do stuff with fantasy like this, that it
hmm
could be as real and ambiguous and strange and complex as the waking world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just always that sense of, and I mean, again, given historical context and all that, aside, it's there's this distance, right? Like the fantasy is over there. It
Yes.
is, it is more rural, it is
Yeah.
more bucolic, it is pastoral, it is in these
Yeah.
very specific settings. And the idea that you can have a fantasy story told in a city.
Well, in
I grew up
Liverpool,
in the
in
cities,
in like
right? Yeah, like I grew.
1990s Liverpool. I mean, it's such a weird thing. I mean, even now, it's such an odd concept. It's brilliant.
hmm Yeah, yeah, like the idea that you can set a story in an urban setting and still have the fantastic as part of it and alongside of it. And I was this morning. I've been trying so hard to get into China Miéville's The City in
Uh,
the City. Like I have it and I've tried. I don't know what it is about that book, but like my brain is just not at the point to get. I don't know if you're familiar with Miéville's work, if you
oh
read The
yeah,
City in
I'm
the City.
familiar.
Okay. And so I love his work, and it just reminds me of that. Like, like we had, Weave World and these others, like, works like Happy Koja and others
Uh,
who expanded fantasy beyond its very sort of, medieval
mhm.
Arthurian kind of trapping. And that's fine. Like if you bring in the States, like because I used to be a big fantasy nerd, and I grew up on like the Dragonlance books, and I grew up on like
Oh, brilliant.
yeah, I love the Dragonlance books, and I loved God, what else? I just those big, thick door stopper kind of,
Uh,
epic fantasy
so the
novels.
very sort
And
of like Tolkien derived stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
yes, absolutely,
The stuff
absolutely.
that like Raymond E. Feist used to write, that kind of thing.
Yes, that exactly that kind of stuff. R.A. Salvatore, like that kind of
Yeah. Oh
stuff.
my goodness.
Yeah, that was my bread and butter all throughout middle
Wow.
school. I discovered horror, I think. I mean, I was reading horror before then, but I was more into like the big doorstopper
Yeah.
fantasies. And then I think in high school is when um I discovered that I really liked horror. And then
How did that happen, by the
and
way?
then
What was there like a formative experience, or was there
you
something original that
so
really sort of sparked the
I
interest?
I was always into horror, but I never went beyond like let's see. So I read a lot of Christopher Pike. Like
Mhm.
that was the first thing. Was I read a lot of Christopher
Oh,
Pike,
I've got like
and
so many
like
dog-eared, like second-hand
yes, yeah.
copies of Christopher Pike novels you wouldn't believe.
I regret deeply. I moved and I just like I think I sold them or took them to a used bookstore or something anyway.
Ah.
But I deeply regret it now because I love those. But I have a few of them like my favorite favorites. But I plowed through all those books when I was in middle school,
Uh-huh.
and then he wrote a couple of adult novels after being well known as a young adult
Mhm.
author. And like Christopher Pike young adult was different. Like it was spicy. You know what I mean?
It
Like it
really
was there
was.
was there was
Yeah,
there was sex,
his
there was drugs, there was rock and
yeah,
roll, there was murder and like crazy stuff. And so I
pretty
always
dark as
appreciate like I like
well, you
that.
know.
Yeah, it was very like psychologically dark, and I really liked that. And then I think I moved from I was still reading Christopher Pike, of course, and I discovered like Stephen King and Dean
Mhm.
Koontz and John Saul, and then
John Saul.
I
Oh, no way.
yeah
Oh, he was one
I
of the
love
first
John
ones I ever
Saul.
read. He was one of the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
like
and
ever read, and I was young. I mean, like
yeah, I
ridiculously young, single digits, you know?
right. That's too young to be reading John
Yeah,
Saul. I
I
see the
know,
theme. I see
I
the
know.
theme.
Blame my mom. You can blame my mom. It's all her fault. It's all her fault.
I'm
It's
laying all
because,
that on her feet.
it's her extensive
But
horror library that I had access to. That's the problem.
that's beautiful, though. That's, I
It is
mean,
cool. It is
what a,
cool. I'm
you know what I mean?
very,
That's amazing.
yeah. She always used to let me read them, and she was always very good
You know,
about it. She was always very good about it. She was always like, if this scares you, if this is too much, then we'll stop. But no, she let me read the John Saul book Darkness
yeah.
when we were
Is
on
that the,
holiday
what's
one
the,
time.
wow, that's, which one did I read? I can't think of the name of it. I can see the cover. It was like something with the, I don't know. There's all, I mean, I think to an extent, every John Saul novel is kind of the same
Yeah, it
book,
kind of is. I've
once you
gone
read
back and
enough
read
of
him
them.
since, so they are. It's almost like
Yeah.
he's got a bit of a template.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So I can't like think specifically which one I read, but it
There's
was
always like a
maybe that one.
protagonist who's dragged out of their circumstances and placed into a sort of fish out of water situation.
Yes.
You
And
know?
there's a child in
Yeah.
peril.
And there's a
Usually, there's some
cult
sort of
normally. There's like a
usually,
conspiracy
yeah,
or
some
something
kind of
like
cult or
that going on.
conspiracy or something.
And
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
to be
Yeah. People act weird.
supernatural almost always has like a very rational explanation in John Saul
Yeah, yeah,
books.
yeah.
Almost
But somebody is
always.
seeing it from almost, yeah, but somebody's seeing it from the protagonist's
Yeah.
distance from it, so they think it's something supernatural, and it's just some,
Hmm. And from what I understand, he's a
hijinks.
gay man,
Anyway,
isn't he? He was a gay
he
man. So
is, he is, he
really,
is.
I
Which
mean,
I did not
like,
know until
I
maybe I wonder now going back and reading it. I wonder if I would read it differently now,
that's what I'm
knowing that.
thinking.
Like,
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, the
huh?
whole fish out of
I
water
kind
thing
of,
that he writes about
yeah.
all the
That seems
time.
like right. That seems telling. Like,
It is. It
I mean,
is. I
that
mean,
seems
I just find it
there'll be
poetic.
something there.
I mean, he was
Yeah, yeah.
probably one of the first like adult horror writers I ever read. And to think that he was a gay man
Same.
and that kind of like, it's just fascinating to me. It makes me wonder,
Yeah,
like, how, what effect did
yeah.
that
I'm
have on my imagination?
sure, sure. And like what because it's like there's stuff you pick up that you don't realize you picked it up
Mm,
until later. So
of
that's
course,
curious. I'm curious about that. But
when stuff
so I read John
recurs.
Saul, and then yeah, and I read. So I don't. I don't remember how. I know I got into Clive Barker when I was in college because I
Oh,
read the Books of Blood
yeah,
first, and that was very,
good starting point.
blew my brain open. Like I was like, wait,
Well,
what? This
I
what?
mean, Kit Power and I, we're doing a series at the moment where we're going through Books of Blood, like each
Oh,
story.
really?
Um, and even now, reading them now, they're shocking and they're transgressive, and nobody is writing like him at that time. Nobody in the
Yeah.
world is writing like
I
this
mean, for
guy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even now, and even with all the generations of writers who have been
Like inspired by him, yeah.
influenced by him and
Yeah.
inspired by him, like there's still just
Oh,
Like,
they're on another level, aren't they? They are on.
yeah,
He's so smart. The man is like,
you
he's so
if you go back and
intelligent.
read some of the stuff, and you're just like stuff that you didn't even catch. Like, um, I try to read Hellbound Heart
Hmm.
every few years. I used to for a while. I was at a point where I would read it like every year, and I haven't
Once a
read it
year,
this year
every year,
yet. So I'm
yeah.
gonna save that for yeah, or every other year, or whatever. And the language and the dynamics. Like, I mean, I think that's one of the things too that people don't talk about Barker's work, or maybe people do, and I just
Oh,
I'm
his
not aware of it. But
technical
I
ability. Oh my
his
God. I
technical
mean,
ability and like the way to map out like familial and social relationships and those dynamics and those nuances and how
oh, it's
like how do you
I
like
honestly,
just like the way I just don't get it. Like I read it and I'm just like how in the hell
yeah.
did he do like I just don't like
I
that's just next level and
He
so
is, he is, and he packs
just
like
completely
so
next
many
level.
ideas into like one paragraph or one sentence. There's so much going on. Everything is
Yeah.
scintillating with all these ideas. And you're like, it's exciting, but it's also like, it's a bit intimidating as well. I mean, sometimes I read
Oh, for
Barker's work and I'm
sure.
like, even now being so familiar with it, I read it and I'm like, for God's sake, Clive, leave a bit for the rest of us, all right? You know?
I think that's sometimes why I've taken some breaks between reading his work so much because I
Uh-huh.
haven't, and I know I've already I already have like my shame, my I'm ringing my shame bell because I still haven't read We World or a Magica. But
Honestly,
I'm going to, and I know. Still haven't read Great
honestly,
and Secret Show. I know. I'm so sorry.
Imagica.
Everybody's like, Paula, what's wrong with you? But I don't know.
Imagica.
I feel like I'm saving
Woof.
myself for it, but I need to get on that because I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to get on that.
Actually,
And
I understand that because like Imagica is like it's the apotheosis of everything he's ever done. It's like
that's yeah.
he's not just
So
talking
I
about
feel like
one idea or one interest. He's talking about
it's the
everything.
whole it's the Cosmo. And
Yeah.
I'm like so maybe this will be the year that I tackle like the big epic Barker
Yeah.
works. But
I mean,
I was just
it
thinking like when you were oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying when you
So
were
I was
talking,
just
it made me
thinking
think of
about, I was just thinking about Imagica, just how epic it is and how unique and unlike anything else in all of literature it actually
that's
is.
incredible. See,
And
that's
it
what I was like when people tell me stuff like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a delayed gratification thing.
uh,
Like I just because I can't imagine, what experiencing reading like that is for the first time, and so I want to savor it, but I need to just get it over with.
yeah, just
But
dive
it,
in. Yeah,
yeah, I know. I just need that. That's what I'm gonna do for 2026. I couldn't think of a resolution, and I think that's gonna be it.
it's one of the
But
books that
my
I give to friends, who don't necessarily like
mm,
horror or anything like that, but they always come
right,
back to me with the same response, which is that was unlike anything I've ever experienced. That
wow,
changed the way I look at the world, you know?
oh, it'd be so good.
I
But that
haven't
just
read
made
it
me
for a
think
long
of
time because it's big. It's
yeah,
very big.
but it's work. Like it's work. So I need to keep that on mind too. Like, yes, the first time is incredible, but the subsequent times will also be
Yeah,
worthwhile because he's so brilliant.
I've got to
But like
read
some
it
of
again,
his
actually.
more
I've got to read it again.
recent, there you go. Some of his more recent works I read. Um, oh, I can't think of the name of it. What was the not Primordium, the book that came before?
Oh, the Tales of
Was it
Primordium.
Torpor
That was kind of
Souls?
cool. I liked that one.
Yeah, and it's very short and
Yeah,
it's very written and kind of like not as in depth and detailed, but there's so much packed into that
yeah.
novella
The
and the both of them.
mythology. The mythology
Yeah, the
is so
mythology is
good.
so rich and it's so
It's
expansive, and it's like like that would take I don't know like somebody else a whole lifetime to come
yeah.
up with, and like this is basically like his grocery list. Like
I
you can tell like
know.
he just wrote it in probably no time at all, and I am in awe of that man. This is gonna
Yeah,
just become a Clive
me
Barker
too.
fan
Me
session,
too.
but
Well, it's fine. Again, the people who listen to this channel, they know
like
what
they know what they're in
happens.
for.
They
They know
know
what
what
they're
to
in for.
expect. it's gonna happen, I'm afraid. Barker love sessions are really common on this channel, I'm afraid to say.
That's
What
good.
tends to
That's
happen
good.
is like I introduce friends who've never read Barker to Barker, and then they're like, "We've got to talk
Hmm.
about this. We've got to talk about this. We've got to," you know, and that's what tends to happen. But yeah, Tales of
That's beautiful.
Primordium. I mean, that was written for the toy line, wasn't it? The
Yeah, for
Lost
for
Souls
the
toy line.
tortured souls. Yeah, yeah,
Tortured Souls, that's
yeah,
right. I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah,
fact
yeah.
that guy can do this, that he can write a mythology and indeed a novella, which is so good, which is an
Yeah.
adjunct to a toy line. I
Right. Like I mean, that's just that. I mean, like the and it's so careful and tight, but it's also you can. I mean, you can tell like he was. I don't want to. Obviously, I don't know what the man was thinking, but it just seems
Mhm.
like it's like, okay, this is the timeline. I don't need to go into that much detail, but it's. I mean, it's more detailed than I don't know your average six, seven
Yeah,
hundred page, fantasy epic or whatever. And it's just, I love
that's
that
the thing, isn't
those
it? It's
books
that
so much. Yeah,
next level imagination where it's
yeah,
like
just
he puts his whole arse into everything, doesn't he?
everything.
He cannot do
There's
things
not, there's
by
no half-assing anything
no,
for him, whether this is visual art,
yeah,
painting,
film,
playwriting,
whatever.
poetry, film. I like if you're an artist of any type, like can you not admire that
Yeah.
on some level? Like
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
uh,
there are lots of people who have like inspired me in my life and poets and artists and whatnot, but I always, and I mean always come back to Barker. Always.
oh, absolutely, same, big same.
I
And I
can't get
think
over
that
the
that's
man. I
one of
mean, I can't get
I
over
yeah,
him, you know.
it's so I don't I mean it's just and particularly like not not to like bring down the room, but it's just particularly in the era in which we currently live.
Hmm.
um it's so inspiring to see somebody who believes in human creativity so
Yeah.
passionately and so
So
unreservedly, like
so utterly. I
even
mean,
to
like,
the yeah, so utterly without any sort of cynicism
no,
or
he genuinely
you
believes, and
know
I love it in him.
yeah,
He's a true believer that human creativity and imagination it's the source of our salvation. It is
yes,
everything
yes,
good
yes,
within us,
it's
everything that's
everything good about
worth,
us.
everything that's
That's
worth
so fucking
preserving in the
beautiful.
face of the darkness and the pettiness and
Yeah,
the meanness and the bigotry and the evil. It's everything good. And
yeah,
when I'm feeling really down, and it's so easy to these days. I mean, it really is
oh for
so
sure.
easy to be dragged down by it. Whenever I look at people like Barker, and when I start exposing myself to their work again, it it brings me back. It brings me back from the brink. It
Yes,
makes me feel, you know what? No, that there is something worth preserving here. Humanity is
yes.
worth it.
And how much work, how many works can you say legitimately make you feel that way? I mean, we can
Yeah.
appreciate a finely written story or a beautiful piece of art and say, that's great, that's
Hmm.
beautiful, what have you. But to be able to see the whole of humanity's potential
Yeah.
and goodness, is just there are very few artists who do that for me,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
Clive Barker is definitely one of them.
And the way he does it as
Um,
well, because like the thing is, he doesn't shy away from the darkness itself. I mean, he dives full
oh, for
bore into
sure.
it, doesn't he? Like he goes
For
full
sure.
bore for everything that's dark and malevolent and petty and
Hmm.
cynical and selfish in the human breast. You'll find it all there. It's just
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he doesn't just see that alone. He doesn't
yeah. Well,
allow it
and
to
I feel like he
eclipse the
doesn't
good.
judge it. Yeah, and I feel like for particularly for me and the kind of like stuff that I'm interested in writing, like I think that was one of the very liberatory thing that I
Yeah.
got directly from Barker was that yes, humans are terrible and petty and bigoted and mean and we like to harm to say it, we like to hurt each other,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, of course, right.
there is a reason for that. There's
Hmm.
a cause, because of that. And maybe it is, just human nature, but there is also something really tender about that, even if it's
Yeah,
horrible, even if
like an
it's awful. And I
intimacy.
think yeah, and I think even like being able to appreciate that for me, I think just, for all the things that make me who I am, that is an easier truth for
Yeah.
me to recognize than stuff that's more on the, sort of lighter,
Mhm.
you know, happier side, if you
Well, I
will.
mean, yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, reading "We Are Here to Hurt Each Other," I love the fact that there is a metaphysics drawn from trauma in that book. I
mhm,
love it to bits. I love the way that
thank you.
people take their suffering and their pain, and rather than allowing it to destroy or consume them, it becomes a point of connection with something grander
Yeah,
and with each other. It's almost like you're touching each other wound to wound, and knowing each other
yeah,
so much more intimately as a result of that.
and I think I appreciate you saying that, because I was talking to a friend who has a book coming out, and my friend is Ken Vaughn, and he has a book coming out called "This is the Table Where We Wash Our
Mhm,
Dead," and I think it'll come out next year, I believe. And
mhm.
he let me read an ARC of it, and it's similar but not.
Yeah.
And he had asked me to read an ARC, and he was telling me just how much he really enjoyed We Were Here to Hurt Each Other, and the stuff that he got out of it, which was similar to some of the things that you're saying now. And
Mhm,
it's one of those, you know, I, when I came up, when me and the editor Sean Thompson were putting the book together, I was just kind of like, well, you know, it, here's a book, y'all. I don't know what's gonna happen, but here it is. And and the fact that so many, at least for me, that so many people, or any people for that matter, responded to it in such a
Oh,
way,
honestly, I loved
just
it. I
was
loved it. It's
very,
it's
thank
it's what I
you.
looked. It's what I look for. It's the kind of thing that I'm constantly on the lookout for. Um,
I am the same. Like I'm the same, and I really appreciate that there are. I mean, again, I think it comes back to Barker, to
mhm.
Martin, to
It's that
Kiernan, to
sincerity, isn't it? It's that
the
rawness where you have like
yeah,
it's
like
it's
there's a
that
vulnerability there.
willingness. Yeah, it's that willingness
Yeah,
to put the wound on the page, isn't it? And say, look, here I am. Here's
yeah.
here's here's the
Like this is
darkness in
the
me, here's this pain, the
exactly,
suffering.
exactly,
But, I'm not
exactly.
going to be ashamed of that, and I'm not going to be destroyed by that. I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to wear it like a Pavonine costume. This is beautiful. This
Yes,
is wonderful.
yeah. I think, and I just find that that's so needed, I think. And
Yeah.
I feel like so many of the so many of the writers, our contemporaries, and
Hmm.
those who come before, who have done that same kind of work. I think it's it's easy to certainly to kind of shirk it off as just kind of extreme and
Yeah. I think
silly, because
yeah,
there's certainly
it
a
tends to
lot of that
happen
too. But
because there's like a codification that happens these days, isn't there?
yes,
Where there are like, oh, this is an extreme horror story, or this is a body horror
yeah,
story, or this is that, or this or that. And I don't get me wrong, I
yeah,
get why those exist, particularly for marketing purposes and whatnot. It means
sure,
you can go and find the anthologies that you like, or the subject
right,
matter that you enjoy. But I do find that there is a more sinister side to that, in that it kind of
hmm,
codifies the work that people create and thereby limits it a little bit. Whereas I find that the work I certainly respond to, it doesn't really operate within those parameters. I mean, I read We're Here to Hurt Each Other, and yeah, the imagery is absolutely extreme, and even the ideas are kind of
hmm,
extreme, but I don't classify it in my own mind in the same way that I would classify like extreme horror with the capital E and the capital H.
sure, yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
strange
yeah.
in that regard. I mean, because I find it very transgressive. I think the ideas that it plays with are absolutely I mean, they are absolutely transgressive, because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
for
it's
sure.
very near the knuckle, and it's saying things that they're ideas that don't really operate on the mainstream level of culture or society, the notion that you should look at your wounds, the notion that you should actually,
Hmm.
you
Oh, for
should
sure.
look at your trauma and look at how that defines you, how it informs you. I mean, that's a very, ooh, it's brilliant though. I love it.
Yeah.
For me, I
Yeah.
love that stuff. Give it me
Same. Big
all.
same. Big same. Right. Yeah. Same.
Again, it's that thing with Billy Martin. I remember picking
Hmm.
his work up for the first time, and I remember reading stuff like Exquisite Corpse,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah, right, yeah.
That was one I read. When did I read Exquisite Corpse? Like I was probably late teens, early
Oh, so
20s,
young for
and I
Exquisite
remember
Corpse, yeah.
feeling, and I remember like it reading it felt so transgressive. I
Mhm.
remember like reading it in public and like looking around and like
Yes, yes.
thinking about what's on the page and being like, "Am I gonna get arrested? I feel like I'm gonna get arrested for reading this in
I,
public."
I, I
Like,
kid you not. I read it when I was at
what
university
I'm
for the
reading.
first time, so like early 20s. And I
Yeah.
remember reading it on the bus home once from university, and I was
Oh
like,
my God.
I need to put this down. This is making me feel self-conscious. It's so
So
transgressive.
fascinating when books do that because like, you're just like, I remember legitimately we were visiting like a family friend who was in the hospital, and
Uh-huh,
my family were chit-chatting, and I was of course with the book because that's
uh-huh.
how I live. And I was just sitting there reading, and I was just kind of looking around, and like the doctors and nurses are coming in and out of the room, and I'm like, are they gonna call security because I'm reading this book? Like I feel like,
If they were going to call security for
oh
any
God,
book, it would be that one, wouldn't it? Let's be
it would be
honest.
that, right?
It would be that one because, I mean, I've introduced that book to like
Oh,
perfectly straight friends of mine who are very, very open-minded. I get the
sure.
same response from them, which is, that was really hot, but it also upset me. And it is. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I love the fact that it's so sincerely about the experience of gay men in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
profoundly about that. And at a very particular time in queer culture's history, so the 1980s, obviously. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's such
yeah.
an
And
angry
the
book. Oh,
it's so I think
it's
that's
so
the thing
angry.
too. Like it's not just, you know, the the sensuality and
Mm.
sexuality of violence and
Although that
gay
is
male
definitely there,
sexuality
right?
that is definitely there, definitely part of it. It's also just like it's a fucking angry, but it has
Oh
every
my
right to be
God.
angry.
I,
It has every right to be angry. And
yeah.
I think it helped me because I remember like after I finished reading it, it was one of those things where I felt like that feeling where you've been taught a certain way about a
Mhm.
certain thing, whatever it is, and then something comes along and shatters all of that and
Yeah,
shows that it's been a lie. Like that's what I felt like
totally.
after reading that. I'm like, I've been lied to this whole
Yeah.
time
It's a
about
revelatory
a
book,
whole
isn't it?
group of people. Yes,
It's a
right. Um,
revelatory book. I mean,
like,
it's so legitimate as well. I
yeah.
mean, like you can tell it's written by a gay guy because like it is
Hmm.
so it's so legitimately our experience. I mean, it was one of the very first books I ever read where I was like, "Oh my God, I recognize the feelings that
Hmm.
he's talking about. I
Hmm.
actually get these experiences." I mean, not the really extreme stuff, obviously, because that's sort of outside
Sure.
of any most people's sphere, I think. But
Sure.
the emotional lives of these characters, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The characters themselves, like Tran, I was reading about Tran, I was like, oh God, I know
Oh
that
my
guy.
God.
I know
Yeah.
that guy.
Bless him. Yeah. Yeah.
Tran's former partner, I guess Steve is his name.
I think, yeah, Steve.
Is it
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah.
The really
I
angry
think so.
guy. I was
Hmm.
like, I know him too. I know him
Yeah.
too. I recognize that experience. It's just also, I mean, it's
And it's
it's a
just
book
fascinating.
that kind of opened parts of me as well that I didn't know were there. So
Sure.
I found
Sure.
myself attracted to some of the characters that I knew I shouldn't. Like I
Oh,
really shouldn't. Like Andrew, Andrew Compton.
yeah. Right.
I
Right.
was like, God, I
This
like
isn't
him.
bad,
He's such a
but
bad
I'm kind
guy.
of into it.
But I kind of feel, I
But I mean,
really feel,
that's the
find him
yeah. But I
attractive.
think that's also, yeah. I think
Uh,
that's also one of the reasons why I appreciate. a lot of, you know, that sort of transgressive fiction, but transgressive horror in particular, because
Mhm.
that's a safe way to,
Yes.
to sort of
Yes.
explore
You
those
wouldn't, yeah, it might
attractions.
be, it might become a problem if you go out and try to like find an Andrew Compton of your own. That might be
Exactly
a
right,
real
exactly.
issue,
Like
right?
probably not a great, yeah,
Not a
probably
great
not a great
idea.
idea.
Not a great idea.
But you can certainly read about Andrew Compton
Well, yeah, and then
and go from there, you
it
know.
becomes kind
It's
of
safe.
revelatory then, doesn't it? Because you know that part of you exists. You know that
Exactly,
there
exactly.
may be a part of you that's attracted to these kinds of people, and that's dangerous. So it's worth keeping an eye on, you know?
And I need to make sure that I keep. I mean, I think so much of you know, for all of the the sort of, how do I explain it? Like the sort of stupid sexualization of the Cenobites, in the sense where, it's, people make these pictures of like,
Yeah.
quote unquote, like female pinhead, and her
And it's
boobs are
essentially
enormous, and
Pinhead
it's
with
just,
very big breasts, yeah?
but exactly,
That's
yeah,
essentially what it is,
that
isn't
is
it?
it
You know?
exactly. That
And
is
it's
it.
like,
That is
oh
it
my God,
exactly.
it's like you are so missing the
You're
point.
missing
You are
the point
so
so
missing
much.
the point. I mean,
Uh,
first of all, they're sexualized anyway, you know?
right. They don't need to, and yeah, it's just so far off the market. It makes me so
So
angry,
far. And
but at the
also, like,
same
what does
time,
gender or sex mean to these guys?
that's the thing. I'm
What
like,
what what
what are you? What book did you read the book? Like,
do
what
you
is
understand Barker at all? You know,
anything
it's
at
like,
all? Like, you took the most, you know, sort of, what's the word I'm even looking for? Like the most banal aspect of it,
mhm.
and just kind of ran with it. And I'm like,
Ironic,
that's
you
not
know the
even.
irony? They've become Frank. Those people have become Frank. You know when Frank summons the
Yes,
Cenobites and they're bored with him
and
because
he thinks
he's
they're all going
into
to be like
yeah.
hot babes.
He thinks that they're like metaphysical pimps, essentially. That's what he thinks, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, that's what he thinks. It's like,
he's got
then
this
he's
idea that
all the hot
they're going to
babes.
come to him with women, and it's like,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you, Frank,
Do you think
man?
that's like, look at that thing? That thing is a tongue on legs. Do you think
Like,
that's what it is?
Frank, I mean, come on. It's no wonder that he ends up the way he ends up. Because if he was
For
like,
sure.
you know, if he was anything like he thinks of himself, particularly in the book, because
Yes.
in the book, you know, you get
Yeah.
his inner monologue where he thinks like, "Oh, I've been to the limits. Oh, I've done it. Oh, no, you haven't. You
Yeah. Yeah.
boring
Yeah.
little man. You boring little man." And it's like, no, the Cenobites are going to show you something else, mate.
They're gonna blow your brain open, and
Hmm.
that's only gonna be like within the first 5 seconds of you
Right. And
being
also,
with
I mean,
them,
like,
and
he can't take it. That's what I love. He can't take it, so he's seeking
yeah,
to escape from them.
yeah. He's like,
It's
no, no,
like,
no. Like, this is too much.
right.
I thought I knew what limits were. I did not. Sorry. Can I leave? And they're like,
Can I leave
absolutely not,
now?
dummy.
It's
Can I
like,
leave? No,
come
no,
on,
you may
man, you
not.
know. But Julia, on the other hand,
Now,
Julia,
Julia
wow.
found something that she loved, didn't
Yeah,
she? She
right.
found something that she was like, wait, I'm into. I love that. I love
Yeah,
both in the
I
book
think that's
and in the
brilliant.
films. That's just my
Me too. I mean,
favorite thing.
it's
I
my
just,
favorite evolution of any of the characters in the
yes,
Hellraiser
yes,
stories, to be honest.
absolutely,
What the
mine as
second
well.
film does with Julia, it's like,
Hmm.
give me all of that.
That's so great. Please, right?
Yeah,
Give me
it's
more of
those
that for sure.
lines because I mean I love what the first
Hmm.
film does with her too. I mean the first film has that
Oh, for
wonderful
sure.
thing where she starts off as somewhat submissive, but as she becomes more powerful,
Hmm.
as she learns her power, you know, as she starts bringing these men and murdering these men, she
Hmm.
starts to become more powerful. She becomes more herself, more essentially
She becomes more
herself.
herself.
I
Yeah,
love that. I
she starts
love
to
that.
enjoy it, and she starts to enjoy what she's doing,
Hmm.
and Frank almost, and many, and kind of becomes secondary. Like,
Hmm.
like, yeah, yeah, Frank, you need your skin, whatever, but like, she is becoming who she, I think, not to say she was always afraid to be, but somebody she didn't know she was. And I think
Yeah.
that's, again, like, that's that real, like, transgressive kind of like thrust of a story, and so much of Barker's work is just this idea that, and it's something that I think is really fascinating. Like, we we kind of don't know who we are, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't know what kind of appetites, and that's so Barkarian. Like, we don't know what kind of appetites we have, particularly if we stay in those safe,
Yeah, right.
prescribed, environments. But let something sneak in there.
And
Let
then
something,
suddenly
and suddenly you find yourself, you know,
you're something
uh,
else, right? You're something
you
beyond your
know,
assumptions of
you're,
yourself. It's brilliant.
yeah.
And
And
that
it's,
happens to
it's,
women a
I
lot in
love
his
that.
books. I mean,
Yes. And I think,
he's one of the very few like male
hmm
writers in these genres who
yeah.
writes women protagonists.
Yes, yes, and does so very well, and not
Yeah,
in like a, I love Clive Barker's women.
they
I've
own
I,
themselves, don't they? They
they own
own
themselves, and
themselves. It's brilliant.
and it's so like they own themselves, and they own their darkness, and they are in many ways, and again, not to make it like a masculine kind of strength thing, but they have a resilience that I think some of his male characters
It's
don't
true.
always have. They
It's
sometimes
totally
do, but not
true.
always.
Oh, it's
And
totally true.
I just find that so, I don't know, like I just find that I find that particularly empowering. Like
Oh, I love it. I
I really
absolutely love
enjoy
it.
that.
There's a lot of like,
Um
very normal women in his books, who operate in a normal
yeah.
world, who have a normal life, they have jobs, they have boyfriends, they have
Mhm.
families, etc., etc., etc. And they discover something, they experience
Yeah.
something, and it doesn't necessarily change them. It just reveals something in them that was always there, they just didn't know about.
Right, right. And they just
And I love it. I
didn't,
love
have
that
the
so
opportunity
much.
to explore that. And it's so great. Like it's so, again, just the brilliance of like his storytelling and his understanding of like characters and social relationships and dynamics, and like how like the psychology of people, and how, what a big impact socialization works to try and tell you who you are until
Mhm.
you encounter something, out of the pale, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm also this too. Like
He's
I
always
am this thing.
after the sincere, isn't he? He's always after something that's
Hmm.
real underneath all of the prescriptions and the assumptions of life that are sort of accrued around us. He's after
Yeah,
something
yeah. Like what's underneath
fundamental.
all that? And it's yeah. It's I oh God.
Yeah, it's
And
brilliant, right? It's absolutely brilliant.
I
And the only characters I find that he doesn't have any sympathy for whatsoever, and it does happen on occasion. There's a couple of characters in Weave World like this. They're the
mm,
ones who they don't see the magic. They're the people who do, like in Weave World. There's a character called Shadwell, and Shadwell is
mm,
he's a salesman. He's a salesman, and his whole
mm,
shtick, the basis of his character is he wants to sell Wonderland. So he wants
mm.
to own the Weave World, which is a world and it's a magic world woven into a carpet. And
Right,
his
right,
he
right.
doesn't see the wonder of it. He doesn't see the potential of it. He doesn't see
It's
the
just a product.
beauty. Yeah, he just sees a product. All he sees is something to own and to sell. And
Hmm.
he is one of the most loathsome characters in all of Barker because he's one of the only ones that Barker himself has zero sympathy for. And this is a book, by the way, that has got evil demigoddesses and creatures that are so utterly execrable. There's a literal angel of destruction at one point in it, the living
Hmm.
fire of God, which is out there to destroy
Wow.
everything. But
It's worse.
Shadwell is the one. Barker hates him, hates his guts because he kind of
But it's so, I mean,
represents everything
yeah.
Barker hates. He represents everything Barker hates in the world. He's materialist, he's
Hmm.
domineering, he's controlling. He doesn't see beauty. He's untouched by beauty and poetry. All he sees is something to own or to sell. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just a
And
lack of wonder.
yeah, that I mean, that is it. Shadwell is a lack of wonder made manifest in a character.
Hmm.
And that I think that is Barker's truest and purest conception of evil in humanity.
Yeah. 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 Like I mean that to an extent, just to bring it. back to help on her. Like I think that, I think Barker has some level of sympathy for Rory in the book,
Yeah, he
but
does in the
Rory is
book. Maybe
also,
you know,
but he's also just kind of like,
yeah. I mean,
he's
the Hellbound Heart that was written when Barker was a much angrier young man. Understandably
sure, for
so. I
sure,
mean, totally understandably so. And
absolutely,
Rory comes in for. I mean, he's like he is a representation of some stuff that Barker just doesn't like. At that point
yeah,
anyway. You know, it's that it's that very parochial sort of like man's man thing. You
yeah.
know,
That's exactly what I was gonna say. He's a man's man.
yeah.
He's very
But he doesn't understand, like,
cisgender.
he's very, infantilized as well, isn't he? That's what
Yeah,
I
he
always
is.
get.
He's
Like, when he cuts
yeah,
himself on the nail when
and he's
he's
like,
carrying
yeah,
and he
yeah.
goes to Julia, he's holding his hand out like, "Oh, mummy, make
I
it
mean,
better."
he's
It's
right.
like,
He's kind of like he's kind of a man baby.
yeah,
He and as we within both the book and in the film, like
mhm.
Julia's not squeamish about blood at all.
No.
But Rory slash Larry, who is the man,
Yeah,
is like freaking out at the sight of
kind
his
of.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of pathetic. And I love the way Andy
But yeah,
Robinson plays him in the film, actually, because he
he
gets
plays
it.
him so well.
He
He
so
plays him
gets it.
so well
He's awkward and he's unsympathetic and he just doesn't understand, does he? The poor
because
guy.
he's
I mean,
completely out of his league. He's
he is. I
completely
mean,
out
oh,
of,
with Julia,
like he's
yeah.
never been out of his league.
Oh
Yeah,
my
like
God,
he's never.
how did he land Julia? Oh my God,
Yeah,
what
I
happened
always
there?
wondered about that. Like, what happened? How did that even? I always
I
wonder about that. I'm like,
I can't.
there's
I mean,
some sort of clue
yeah,
somewhere
she
to
must
tell
have been
us that this
having like a bad time when she met
some kind of
Larry.
crisis when
Yeah,
she
must
met
have been.
Larry and was
Must have
like,
been.
I'm gonna marry this man.
Yeah,
Like, girl,
maybe
why?
she'd given up. Maybe she'd given up. Maybe she's like, you know what?
Yeah,
Men are so pathetic and so disappointing.
just gonna accept this one. It's
I'll just,
whatever. I don't even
yeah,
care.
I'll just settle for this one, and that'll do, right? But no, he is. I mean, Andy Robinson, and it is sort of like an artifice of the film as well. He plays it that way. Like he doesn't know how to talk to her. He has no
No, he
idea
doesn't.
how
None
to
of their
talk to her.
scenes are, yeah, he has no idea how to talk to her, and the two of them are so awkward. And
Yeah.
and I feel like, and I've spoken with like me and Eric LaRocca, who's
Mhm.
another writer who was also in that transgressive vein and influenced by Barker, and I
Oh
love
yeah.
all
By
of
the
his
way,
work, and
guys,
he's so good.
Eric's doing like very well at the moment. Go and read it. It's
Yes,
really bloody
yes, so
good.
good, so good.
Links. I'll put links below, but I'm going to put links to
Please
Paula's
do.
work, obviously, but also
Oh,
Eric's
bless you.
work.
Thank you.
Guys,
Yeah,
go and read it,
he's
please.
just incredible. Like I anyway,
Yeah,
I'm such a huge fan of Eric's work, and we did a because you and Kit did the commentary on
on Hellbound,
Hellbound
we
for the
did.
Arrow video, and so
Mm-hmm.
Eric and I did one for Hellraiser,
Yeah,
and one of these things he and I talked about was the the heteronormativity of Julia and Larry, and how like they're trying to make that work. They're trying to
yeah.
make that heteronormative man woman dynamic work, and they're
Mm-hmm.
both so bad at it. They're both so
So bad
terrible
because
at these roles that they're supposed to play,
right,
because they
right.
don't fit them.
They
They don't
don't.
fit them at
They
all.
don't. I mean,
Like,
the
you
funny thing
know,
about Rory Larry is he's so passive. He wants to be taken care of.
he actually, right?
He kind of
Right.
wants to occupy the role that,
Yes.
heteronormative cisgender society, the nuclear family, would assign
Yeah.
to the woman
Yes. Absolutely.
or the
Absolutely.
child, maybe.
Or maybe that would be better, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, he's so passive, and he doesn't do anything. Like, he
no.
goes to work because he's supposed to,
Hmm.
and then he comes home, and he has his friends over, and all of his friendships seem pretty superficial
Yeah,
and kind of like
performative
these aren't.
almost.
Yeah, it's all very performative, and he really doesn't he doesn't get his kid either in the movie. He doesn't really understand
You.
Kirsty and her journey and trying to come of age and be a person and be a grown up and all that, and he doesn't understand Julia, and like
Definitely doesn't understand
he certainly
Julia.
doesn't understand his brother. Like he's so awkward and kind of low. Like I don't know. Like it's a
Oddly out of place, isn't he? He just doesn't seem to.
yeah,
He,
yeah,
he knows what he's supposed to be. He knows exactly what he's
yes.
supposed to be, and he's trying. He's trying really hard, but he
He's trying
doesn't
really hard,
fit.
but it
He
just
just
doesn't
doesn't
work.
fit.
It just
And in that regard, he's kind of like Frank. There is a kind of,
yes.
I mean, there's a reason, there's like a symbolic reason why Frank ends up in his skin at the end. They're
Oh, for
kind of
sure.
two sides of the same coin, or rather like two parts of the same psyche. They have
Yeah,
very
yeah.
similar issues, but they just
They
express
go
them in
about
different
opposite
ways.
directions, trying to escape
Yeah.
this sense of like isolation
Hmm.
and like this lack of fulfillment and just
Yeah.
trying to fit in.
I mean, there is a way of
You
reading the
know.
film where it's just like a huge assault upon patriarchy and its
Oh,
prescriptions.
for sure.
The nuclear
Yeah,
family
yeah,
just comes in for
absolutely.
some real stick in that film, and quite
Where
rightly so.
it does. And that's one of the things that like Eric and I had talked about. And I come back to it because I feel like it's it's one of those like I didn't realize that the first time I watched Hellraiser I was just like
Mhm.
cool, a dude
Yeah,
with nails in his face, you know what I mean,
right.
like that's like everybody.
Yeah,
And
of course,
that's
right?
crazy. But then
But then
the
you
more
watch
you
it
watch
more,
it and
don't
you
you?
grow
And you
up
realize that
and you watch it
actually,
and you grow up and you're like, wait a minute, this is
yeah,
actually saying something
it
about
really is. And
and
the
even now, I mean,
Cenobites, I mean, they're kind of
yeah,
tangential to the story.
I mean, they're only in the whole movie for what, like 13 minutes or
If
something. I
that,
think I read somewhere that if
that,
if that, like they're
yeah.
for a very brief period of time, and they loom large. They are the thing that people remember about Hellraiser, and
Mhm.
and I get and I remember reading I think it was an I think it was the interview one of the interviews that Barker did like before or after Scarlet Gospels,
Mhm.
and he was just talking about how much he was done with Pinhead and he was
Yes.
done with
Yeah,
all of that.
I
And I
know
remember at the
that
time,
having
you know what I'm
read,
talking about, and
I know he's done. He just doesn't want
he's
anything to do with it anymore, does he? He's like
he's
out.
he's done with it. And when I first read it, and of course this is because it's me, I
Mhm.
was so kind of upset. Like, what do you mean you're done with it? Why? Like,
Mm,
this is fantastic. But I kind of get it now
I get it.
because
Yeah,
you create something like Hellraiser, you write something like the Hellbound Heart, and the only thing people can remember is the
yeah,
guy with nails in his face. They
yeah.
don't remember or take the time to pay attention to, no, this is a story about humanity and human
Hmm.
beings and human relationships and the human heart and
Yeah,
desire and appetites and love and the lack thereof and so I get it. I
I
get
get
it.
it.
It still hurts my feelings to
Yeah.
be clear, but I get it.
I mean,
I get it.
I mean, I remember
You know.
reading an earlier interview where he described Hellraiser and the Hellbound Heart essentially as Ibsen with monsters. So it's
I
like,
remember I know exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and he
yeah,
is right. I never
yeah.
realized before, but when you watch it, there is like this weird, almost like French farce quality to it sometimes. You know
Oh, for sure.
when Julia's committed her first murder, and Larry comes in a bit earlier than expected, and she's sort of like hurrying around upstairs trying to
Scrambling
hide
around
the
to try. Yeah,
body. There is almost
I
like
saw
a slapstick
it's
element,
almost
like a dark
it
slapstick
is
element to
right.
that.
I saw it in they did the 40th anniversary, or I think it was the 40th.
Is it that
What?
long?
No, 30th. I was gonna
No,
say is it 40? Okay,
I
that
think it
long.
is the 40th,
Um,
yeah, because 1985, I think, was the original
I
Hellraiser.
think it's when. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, yeah. Or
That's scary.
87. I think 87 was the first one. I know, right? God.
That's scary.
But they did the re-release in theaters, and I saw it in the theater because I'd never seen it in theaters.
Oh,
I'd always seen it at home, and I saw it in the theater. It wasn't full. It was like
hmm,
me and like six of my friends who I
yeah.
specifically said, let's go see Hellraiser. And there were some other people in that scene, which I'd always watched alone at home and always took very seriously. That scene when it happened in the theater, like everybody laughed. And I realized,
Was it
like,
getting
oh, this is kind
laughs?
of funny. Yeah.
No
I
way,
was
that's
like, oh,
brilliant.
yeah, people laughed. And I was like, oh my God, it is kind of funny because it's
Kind of
like it's a
is.
domestic kind of farce. Like she's kind of like trying to hide this
Hmm.
corpse in the attic, and like her
Yeah,
husband's come home early and she's,
trying to wash off
having
the
an affair.
blood, and
Yeah, trying to, and it's like it's in a different veil. It is actually kind of funny, and I remember just being like, oh, this movie just never stops like surprising you. Like
evolving.
it's
Yeah.
so layered and so like, you can read it in so many different ways.
Oh, I mean,
But
it's
yeah,
it's an
it's
amazing
very,
experience on the big screen, isn't it? I'd never seen a Hellraiser
oh,
film on the big
absolutely.
screen before, because I was a bit too young. I never had a chance to see them. Um, but we
Sure, same, yeah.
when we Kit and I did our documentary for the Arrow Films thing, they actually did a screening of Hellbound for us, the new version of Hellbound that's on the Arrow Films set,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually put us up in a theater, like a little independent theater, and Kit and I were
Oh,
the only
nice.
people in the cinema watching
Oh, that's
Hellbound for the
awesome.
first time on the big screen, and it was a different experience. I mean, I've been watching this film since I was a kid because we had the VHS of it. We had the video of it. Um,
Right, yeah.
I'd never. We came out of it honestly. We did the conversation, the actual documentary after seeing it on the big screen,
Hmm.
and we were both in bits. We were just sort of like so agitated and shaking, and like, because there are
Mm.
things and details that you just don't see on the small screen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's, I mean, like, Hellbound is a particularly horrible film at times as well.
for sure, for sure.
There are
It's
parts of
it's
that film that are, ooh, they're close to my limit point when it comes to visual grue and depictions of pain and whatnot.
I always forget that, and I don't know how, but every time the scene where the man is
I,
he's
yeah,
got bug he thinks he has bugs on him. That's
yeah,
I cannot tell you how many times I've watched that movie. Well over at least 100 times, and every time I'm just like, oh god,
yeah. That's the worst bit,
oh
without a shadow of a doubt.
yeah.
When I say the worst, I mean it's actually brilliant, but it's like the most
Oh, for
extreme
sure, but it's
part.
visceral. It's
It's
so,
horrible.
oh,
It's
like you can,
horrible.
and it's one of the things that I always, I talk about horror movies a lot, and I just one of the things that both Hellraiser and Hellbound do so well is the practical effects of
Oh,
it,
they're
like the,
so good.
it's looks so
I have
real and like
never seen. I mean, it's a
ugh.
strange thing when you can make, immediate comparisons between all of the skinned people you've ever seen before, but okay. But they are, without a shadow of a doubt, some of the best, like, flayed
Skin
human
looking people.
effects
Yeah,
I have ever,
yeah,
ever seen.
yeah. You just you just don't get that with like CGI
Uh,
and
it just
stuff,
looks so
and
it looks so limpy and real and
yes, and they're
visceral
so
and
glistening, and
look,
they look so like it's so drippy and but
yeah. And it
god,
looks raw as well, doesn't it? When Julia emerges from the mattress, and it looks like it hurts. It looks like it's raw and
I mean
painful and
it looks like birth,
oh,
like she's being
yeah.
birthed from the mattress, but it looks like it hurts her to
Oh wow. Wow. Honestly.
bleh,
It's amazing
bleh,
though. It is absolutely amazing. I mean, in
incredible.
the
It's the
original film
best.
you get that fantastic rebirth of Frank sequence.
Oh god, it's so
Oh,
clammy and
it's so brilliant, that is. And
so
that almost
gross.
wasn't in the
It's
film, you
so
know.
gross. Really,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I haven't
originally it
heard.
was funded by it was funded by it's a program that doesn't exist now, but it was like the Performing Arts Council here in the UK. So
Mhm.
it was very much an indie film. So it had no budget really. It was like
Right,
couple
right.
of £1,000. So they didn't really have the money to do it. But when New Line got involved, they gave them X amount of thousands of pounds to do little bits and pieces here and there. And that was one of the sequences that Barker had planned, but which they didn't have the money for originally. And it's like, oh God, how do you, I mean, it is like the crescendo of the film, isn't it? It's one of the most powerful scenes.
I'm this the brilliant, like the logistics of it alone are, it's because it makes sense, right? Like, because it's parts of it you can tell it's like it's like I can't remember how they do it, but they it's like in reverse, but they play it forward,
That's
so
right.
it
Yeah, it's like
looks,
a reverse
you know what I
melt.
mean?
It's like, so
Yeah,
there's like wax
but it
sculptures of the
dripping up from the
organs.
floor onto the
Yeah.
bones and onto the,
Oh,
and it's so yucky looking, but it makes sense in that context, and that's like, that's again, that's just that next level, like
yeah.
that um just that level of brilliance in her and artistry and
Yeah.
authenticity in terms of everything, like
It's one of those
that.
wonderful things that Barker is so good at as well, where he can take something that's so, ostensibly grotesque and yet feels celebratory. Like when it's happening,
Yeah,
it's kind of a miracle. It's an amazing thing that's
I mean, it
happening.
is.
It is,
Yeah,
right?
it.
It's
I
a
mean,
it's a
both in the
literal. I mean,
narrative
like,
of the film and
it's a
in the terms of
resurrection, right? So
production.
it's
Yeah,
the very definition of a miracle as you'd find in most religions, right? It just happens to
absolutely,
be a very dark
absolutely.
one here, is
Right, right.
but you get that wonderful like swelling of the score as well. Chris Figg's score comes through, and
Oh God,
it's
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not horrific. It's not like emphasizing the horror of this. It's celebratory. It's almost like
It
wonderful,
is.
you know?
It's almost, it's kind of, it's joyous, and it's majestic. I think is a
Yeah,
better. It's
that's a very
majestic,
good
right? It's
word
like
for it. That's
you
a
are
very good word for it.
witnessing, you know, this, like you said, this rebirth, this resurrection, and it's all wrong, but it's
Yeah, it's
still,
all wrong,
you
but it's
know,
so
an impossibility, but it's
yeah,
happening, and you are witness to it. And I just,
yeah.
yeah,
There's
I like a lot
this
about that.
quote I always go back to. There was a writer called Ogden Nash, and he said that wherever there's a monster, there's a miracle. And it's like,
Mm,
yeah, because monsters
I
by
like that.
definition are kind of like they're like ghosts or whatever. They break the rules of reality.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
That's,
it's true, right? It's something that's
yeah,
weirdly innate to horror, where things that are demonstrated or expressed as being horrific also suggest possibility. And it's something Barker gets. It's
yeah.
something Barker gets so profoundly.
Very, very well. Very well. I taught a class a couple years ago on queer horror,
Mhm,
and the there's an article, I can't remember the name of it. If I think of it, I'll send it to you. If you haven't read it already, but it's
mhm,
just about the queerness and monstrosity, and that's one of the uh, you know one of the points of the article is talking about how in horror you break these rules through the monster, and the reason why people are afraid of the monster is not because they think it's going to hurt them. It's the
mhm.
monster represents possibility and
Yes,
potential, that
right.
we are, that the status quo, that it threatens the status quo, because
Mhm.
if things don't have to be this way, then certain people don't have to be in power.
Right,
And
right.
I always thought that was really, really fascinating, and one of the sort of core tenets of that class
I
was
mean,
just this
that's so interesting because it gets to
discussion of
something
how that
much
works.
it gets to something much deeper in horror fiction than the aesthetic reaction, which is the monster, it's upsetting the status
Right.
quo
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's so much deeper than that, isn't it? I mean, there's a writer named a British writer named Stephen Volk who did he's very famous because he wrote this televisual event in the 1990s. It was the Halloween of 1992, and he wrote
Yeah. Mhm.
this project for the BBC called Ghost Watch. And
Oh, I've
Ghost,
been hearing people
oh,
talk
it's
about that. I need to.
infamous. It's infamous because it caused a
Didn't people think it was real or something?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, it was advertised as though it was. It
Oh
aired
wow.
on Halloween night of 1992, and it was advertised in all. I mean, this was pre-internet. Obviously, this was well before the internet and all of that kind of thing. So it was advertised in all of the media, all of the newspapers, as though it was like a legitimate documentary. They
Oh wow.
claimed that it was a live broadcast from what they claimed to be the most haunted house in the UK. And so
Hmm.
people took it as read. They took it as though that's exactly what it was. And as a result, it scared a lot of people and caused an enormous number of complaints. I mean, it still holds a record for some of the most complaints the BBC have ever had. And
Oh my God.
yeah, right. But the thing is, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I've spoken to Stephen about it, and he says, yeah, people were scared, but that isn't why they were so upset about it. The reason they were so upset, and they may not even know this themselves, is because it did its job. The whole point of it was to call into question their relationship to the status quo, to how they assume the media treats them, right? So they were
Mm,
upset that the media lied to them, particularly the BBC, because at that time there was this whole
interesting.
cultural status quo where, like, the BBC was the most trusted broadcaster in the UK. Basically, if
Mm,
something, you trusted the BBC in terms of its
yeah.
apparent balance and so on and so forth. And what Stephen was trying to do, and the other creators with Ghostwatch, was to demonstrate, well, just because something is, you're told that something is a documentary, it's a live broadcast, everything you're seeing is legitimate, doesn't necessarily mean that it's so. And that calling into
Definitely.
question of the
Hmm.
audience's relationship with their media is what really upset them in the end.
Interesting.
And isn't it? I mean,
I
it's
will
a
definitely
brilliant
have to.
thing. Such a brilliant thing
That's
for a piece of
fascinating.
fiction to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And have it, wrapped up as a horror,
Yeah.
ghost story is
Well, I mean,
even
what Stephen said was they thought that people would just get it. They would like, because there is a point where it kind of escalates, and you're like, oh, okay,
mm,
this is clearly fiction, right? It's, even though it escalates to a point where you're like, yeah, this is fiction. But what happened was people
yeah.
got so scared they turned it off,
Oh wow.
so they didn't see
They
the
didn't see the
escalation,
oh my
and
goodness.
so
I
they
have to
didn't get
watch
the joke.
I that
Yeah.
is huh. That's amazing.
It's well worth
That's amazing.
seeking out, actually. It's a good piece of work,
I definitely will.
even outside of that context. I mean, I remember seeing it as a kid and really loving it. I mean, we were a horror household. My mom's a huge horror fan, so
Nice.
we had to watch it, and we loved it. We loved it. We thought it was brilliant. My mom ruined it for us because she recognized one of the actresses in it, and she was like, "Hang on, this
Like, wait
is
a
this
minute.
is yeah, this is a drama. This
That's so
isn't."
and so from so and
Yeah,
so.
I know this character. Yeah, so that, we had the benefit of watching it as drama, and that worked for us. We loved it. We thought it was brilliant. But it's
Because you
still
came from a
very
media
good.
literate household. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
this is
That's
it, right? Despite, I mean,
yeah.
we're a working class household. We're my dad was a butcher. My mom didn't work when we were kids because you could get away with that when
Mm,
we were kids.
right.
Um, so working class household, but we had the benefit of having books. We had the benefit of having a,
Yeah.
a big, big, big library of books, which
That's
helped
awesome.
us. It helped us a great deal.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it was gone. For the longest time, it was lost media as well because the BBC disowned it, completely disowned it. The next day,
Really?
they didn't dare talk about it because they had so many complaints, and it remained buried for, must be, the better part of a decade.
That is wild.
I
I did
know,
not know
right?
that. Because I'm just trying to think of like and maybe there is, and I just am not aware of it, but I'm just trying to think of like the equivalent in the United States
Well,
and
people
like whatever.
they do tend to compare it sometimes to, like, the Orson Welles broadcast of the War of the Worlds in the US
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. That
that
would make
caused a bit of
because the only thing
a
I could think
stir.
of is yeah, which and that in that regard, I think that's a more fair comparison because the only thing I could think
Mm.
of was the reaction that people had to the Blair Witch
Oh
Project, but that
yeah,
was like a
yeah.
movie, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't
Uh,
a specific broadcast, and the cast was all unknowns, and
hmm
but I remember
Although,
seeing that in the theater.
for the longest
Yeah,
time, people did
and
think it was real, didn't they? They did think
people
it
thought
was
it was
real.
legit. People thought it was absolutely real, like 100%.
hmm Mind you,
People
to
said
be
it was
fair,
cursed.
the creators, I mean, they made sure people believed it, right? They made
Oh, for
sure.
sure. I mean, that was like the first kind of like quote unquote viral marketing. And I
Oh
remember it came out when I was in high school. I was
yeah,
a
me
senior
too.
in high school, I think in '99. Yeah. And so when I saw it, I was like, you know,
Yep.
like I knew it wasn't
hmm
real because that's not how anything works. But
Right.
like,
But it still scared
but
me. I must admit. I mean,
but it's oh for sure.
I mean,
The
it's a
thing that's
very
really
powerful
fascinating about
film.
that And so when I was watching it in '99, when I was a senior in high school and I
Mhm.
thought I knew everything, I was like, this movie's dumb. It's not even scary.
Uh-huh.
But watching it now as
Yeah.
an adult, and particularly for some reason as an adult and as a parent, that movie scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, me too.
Um, because it strips away the idea that there's some kind of meaning and logic, like there's not.
Right.
We are all just constantly making it up, and
It's so, I
outside
mean,
of that, we're just alone. It's such a great cosmic example of cosmic horror.
yes.
And it's a shame that it's not more often recognized as such because it's one of
Yeah.
the best examples, but people get wrapped up in the, you know, the I don't even know. I guess the notoriety of it, I guess,
Yeah,
kind
they
of
tend to, and also,
scares people's.
I find people take it too literally as well. That's one of the big problems. So they
Yeah,
assume that because of the mythology wrapped up around it, that what's happening is like, oh, they're being stalked by the ghost of the Blair Witch. When
yeah,
actually, when you watch it and when you really start to dig underneath, what's happening is something very similar to what's happening in The Overlook in The Shining, right? It's like a wounded
right.
history. They've walked into
Yes,
something,
yes.
like you say, it's cosmic. It's not
Mm-hmm.
literally the ghost of Ellie Kedward,
It's
the
kind
Blair
of right,
Witch.
right.
It's this area where lots of terrible things have happened, and somehow
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
elemental negativity has wounded the world.
Yes, that's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah,
It's
yeah, for sure. Like
terrifying.
we've walked into this wound, and
There's no way out,
there's
right?
no way out.
Because there's
There's
no
no way out. Like,
reasoning with it. There's
right,
no dispelling. There's no, oh,
there's no mystery to unravel.
no. There's no exorcising the demon or pacifying
yeah,
the
like
ghost
you
because it
are
doesn't work
just
like
in
that.
a, yeah,
It's
it's
horrible.
trauma. It's the
Oh,
physical, you
yeah.
know, like manifestation of trauma. Like you're just not gonna get over it. You're not gonna get out of it.
I
And
think
yeah, that movie,
that's where the dread comes from for me. Like it's watching it and realizing, in a way that they don't up until a particular point, you realize that
right?
they are screwed. They are
Yeah,
not
they're
getting
not getting
out.
out of there. There's no turning back. Like, and even
Oof.
before the when the one guy is just so pissed because they've been walking forever and they can't seem to get out of the area of the woods they're in, and he kicks the map and he
Yeah,
tells them that he's kicked the
yeah,
map, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And he's like, and it's like then you realize it doesn't fucking matter if they have a map. That
right.
it's the map's not going to help them. The
It's
map
not.
is of
No.
a different place, and it's
Yeah,
not where they are
that's right.
anymore.
Yeah,
And it's
because of course it affects things like topography, doesn't it? There's that wonderful point where
right.
where they walk south all day and they end up at the same
Hmm.
river.
And they're still the same place. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
that's
so creepy.
terrifying.
God, that's
That's
so creepy.
terrifying. That's one of, for me,
Mm.
that's one of the
Oh,
scariest sequences.
yeah.
It just,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you realize then that, oh God, it's not just that something is out there. It's the land, it's the world that's turned against them. It's
Mm-hmm.
reality that's
Mm-hmm.
fractured, and I love
It's
that. I love that
yeah,
stuff.
it's
Love it to
great. It's
bits.
great.
The
It's so uh it's so good. It's one of those movies that again, like the notoriety of it, I think gets obscures
Yeah,
the
I
real
find,
horror
yeah,
of what's happening there.
it's often misunderstood, isn't it? As a piece of horror, it's
It
often
is.
misunderstood and
It is.
misrepresented, and that oddly enough, that's something that happens a lot in horror. I mean, I look at one of my favorite books, like one of my favorite books from Victoriana, the Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people assume they understand that book because it's advertised in a very particular way. There are very particular assumptions about it. They assume that it's
Mm-hmm.
about, oh, it's the duality of man. Everyone has like a darkness in them. It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not about that. If you read the book, what it's actually about
Never read it in
is,
ages.
oh, it's so good, honestly. It's one of the few. I mean, I struggle with Victorian fiction sometimes because it's so difficult to read.
Sure,
On a pure
absolutely. Yeah,
sentence level,
absolutely.
it's difficult to read. But The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a breeze. It's so lovely to read. It's beautifully written, and it's what's made very clear in the book is that whatever appetites Hyde indulges in, Jekyll has too. Before he even conceives of
Mm.
Hyde, Jekyll's whole thing is that he's afraid for his reputation, he's afraid for his station because he's a doctor, he operates in polite
Mm-hmm.
Victorian society, but you never find out what these appetites are, by the way. So there's a very sincere queer
Mm.
reading of this story. There's a very sincere queer
Mm-hmm.
reading of this story. But he's afraid of what will happen to his reputation if people find out. So he basically makes Hyde as like a mask almost. You
Hmm.
know, it's not
Interesting.
that Hyde is all of the darkness in Jekyll. They share the same appetites. It's just that Hyde can do it without repercussion.
Without the
That's
repercussions
the
of
yeah.
social
Yeah,
transgression.
that's what it's about.
Interesting.
That's exactly what it's about. It's about repression. It's about prescriptive
Hmm.
Victorian society and the monsters that it makes of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
removed from what is popularly advertised. Even though it's innate to the
I mean,
text, you read
that's
the book and it's like basically stated, Jekyll more or less
right.
says it, to the reader.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's. I mean, there's so. I mean, it's just within like Blair Witch as well, and so much with everything. It's the marketing where stuff gets lost. Like,
Yeah.
um, because it has to be simplified in some way, or it has to be
Yes.
presented in a way that doesn't, I don't know, ruffle feathers or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
true. It's
And it
absolutely
just,
true.
um, because it just makes me think of like, with Jordan Peele's Get Out and how
Yes.
everybody. And I on the one hand, I don't want to say that it's not a horror movie
Mhm,
because it is, but you know, when I watch Get Out as
mhm.
a black person in the United
Yeah.
States, it's not a horror movie for me. I'm like, that's just life. You know what I
It's
mean?
almost
And so,
documentary, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like I was like, wow, that's really messed up, but it wasn't
Mhm.
like horror for me takes me out of
Yeah.
the mundane. Like it takes me out of the day-to-day stuff. And so like I appreciate for sure, and I think Peele was a phenomenal filmmaker,
Yeah.
horror, whatever genre he decides to explore next, he's one of my favorites. But like Get Out, I thought was really interesting because whether or not you feel like it's a horror movie very much has to do with your experiences of race in the United
Yeah.
States and like when you were experiencing race in the United States. And
Mhm.
so again, I just think that's a really fascinating thing and like all the success and all that stuff is well deserved and well earned and
Mhm.
all that. But it reminds me of that same kind of dynamic where, you know, uh the story
It's almost
of
misrepresented, yeah, on a
it's so
popular level.
misrepresented and and then you watch it, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't even about that
Yeah.
at all. This is about, something else. But it's so much about the audience and what you bring to
Mhm.
the text, as it were. Um, and your experiences and your sort of context and what you bring to that to see it
Uh-huh.
and also even like I read Dracula for the first time
Wow.
a few years
Yes.
ago, and I was just really struck by how in so many ways it seems like Jonathan and Mina,
Uh-huh.
yeah, are kind of like they want to be into each other, but it's like, are they really into each other?
Yeah, it's very Victorian in that regard, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
very Victorian.
it's very
You get
like,
it's like a marriage of convenience almost, isn't it?
yeah, like
It's not
it's
really
again, it's that,
sincere as such.
yeah, like they're trying to fit into these roles that they're meant to play,
Mhm.
and for me, when I was reading it, it just felt more about the tensions of like what happens when you try to fit into these roles that
Mhm.
society has prescribed for you, but they don't actually work. They
Yeah.
fall apart very quickly.
I love the way that Francis
And of
Ford
course,
Coppola's Dracula got that, like, and
I
really like drew that out of the text.
that's
Really put it on
yeah.
display.
And I thought that yeah, that's why it's one of my favorites because I think
Me too.
it plays with that
Love it.
so
Love it.
elegantly, so you know, it's so lush
Oh
and
God, I mean, like just on a
it's just
purely aesthetic level, it's one of my favorite
oh for
films ever
sure.
made because it's like
Yeah.
this big lurid horror pantomime, isn't it? Where everything
Yes.
is big and colorful and wonderful and lush, and it's such a
Yeah.
thirsty film, isn't it?
It is a very
I
thirsty
mean,
film.
I mean, that is in the book. That is definitely in the book
Yeah, for
because it's
sure.
very Victorian. It's very
It's very
subtextual.
repressed,
It's
and it's
yeah, it's
kind of
very
yeah, but
repressed.
it's there, but it's
In the
definitely there.
in the film, he just I mean, Francis Ford Coppola just like goes, no, it's going to be text.
That
It's going to be right in your
this is
face. It's
right.
going
This
to
is not
be
even
yeah,
subtext. This is just text, and everybody's gonna get it. And if
yep.
you don't, whatever.
I love it. I love it for that, and I love
I
the
do.
fact
I
that
would
it
say,
makes the story redemptive as well, which is
yes,
the original story is not. It's just
it's not in
no,
the slightest.
very much not.
But
It's very thematic. The original story, there's a lot of.
yes,
It's very, it's very depressing. The original
it
story,
is.
in many respects.
I just for sure. I just to kind of like because I just popped in my head, and since we're talking about, it, I wanted to ask, what did you see Nosferatu?
I did. I did
Edgar's
see
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Did
That was
you?
the
Did you? What was
first.
your? Well,
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I get why people don't because it's
mm,
such
mm.
a particular film. It's made in such a particular way. It's just Gothicism, isn't it? I mean, like how
It
much more
is.
Gothic
Yeah.
could it be? And the answer is none. None more Gothic.
Yeah.
It is just
None. Yeah.
it's like
It's so
it has
cold and blue.
yeah,
Like
it's so cold
I
and
like
so
to contrast it with
thematic,
Stoker's Dracula because it's like
honestly.
they're both
It
yeah they're
could
so
have been
opposite. Like
it
one is
could have
just
been made complement that film. It's almost like
yeah
they took Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula and made the inversion of it. So whereas
pretty. That's what I thought of it as. Yeah.
in the 1992 one is all it's lurid and lush and it's pinks and it's reds and it's golds,
Hmm.
it's erotic, right? It's an erotic story.
Oh, for
The
sure. For sure.
Nosferatu is the exact opposite. It's completely thematic. It saps all of the any hint of eroticism out of the story and makes it
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
about death and
It's all.
darkness,
It's all. Yeah. It's all decay and
but equally
dust
lush in
and
its own peculiar way. It's equally,
sure. Absolutely.
indulgent.
The
It's
scene where
just
the
in a
carriage. Yeah. With the when the carriage
oh, I
runs
loved
up
that.
to.
I
That's
loved
beautiful.
that.
That scene was beautiful. I love that.
But I
I
do
saw
understand
that
why
in the
people
theater,
don't
and
like it. I
but
do
I same,
understand
yeah.
because
It
if you're
just made
not
me want
into
to
that
watch
stuff,
Dracula.
and if it's if
Right.
you're not going to like it. It's as simple as that. If
You're
you're
just
not into
not.
the
Yeah.
gothic,
Yeah.
you're just not going to enjoy it.
It's
Um,
just yeah.
I
Yeah.
was surprised at the feminist angle that it took. I mean, really
I thought that
shocked.
was interesting. Yeah, I thought
I
that was interesting that she was the one to finally say enough is enough.
mhm.
And but I also I found I because again I've watched the um is it Herzog who did the one from the 70s with Isabella Johnny and Klaus
Oh, the
Kinski.
yes, Nosferatu the vampire.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I've seen that one,
which is very
and
good.
which is very good. I
It's
was
very
surprised at
good
how
that
much
one.
I liked it. Um, and so that's the only. And I've never read. Is it Polidori who did
Polidori the
the? Is
vampire.
that
Yeah.
yeah? Okay. So I haven't read that one yet, but I've seen the Herzog version, and I've seen Egger's most recent version, and I
Uh-huh.
thought it was really interesting that on the one hand, the the female character is given so much power in a way to stop this, but at the same time, it seemed like that power came with obviously a great sacrifice, which is
Yeah.
she had to die. And so I was torn on that one, but
Hmm.
but I appreciate and I understand why it had to end the way it ended. But
Yeah,
yeah,
totally. I
it
mean,
was
for me, it was sort of getting at Victorian society itself, well, patriarchy itself,
sure.
really. That's what it was getting
Right.
at. The
Yeah,
vampire is patriarchy. He's nothing else. He's
for
like
sure.
there is nothing else to him. He is
Yeah.
consumptive appetite and prescription and objectification
Yes.
and nothing else. And everywhere he goes, he spreads negativity, like elemental
Hmm.
negativity. Wherever he goes, like it's dark, rats and bugs and
There's rats
disease and
everywhere, and
madness
yeah,
spread. Um, there is nothing else to him. He is just
yeah.
elementally negative in the same way that patriarchy is.
That's
It
interesting.
kills
I like
everything
that
it
read.
touches. Kills everything it
Yeah,
touches. But I love the way it kind of contrasts him to Victorian society itself. You know, she's
sure.
dying in that society in the same way as she is under the oppressive love of the vampire. Love, quote
Mm,
unquote.
right.
I
I
liked that.
like
I mean,
that.
and,
That's a it's a
it's kind of cool. And the way it
yeah.
drew
I like that
yeah,
read. I think that gives a lot more sort of explanation for the behavior because again, I don't know if it was just because I struggle with some of um Robert Eggers movies, and I
yeah,
can't tell if I struggle with them because like he's so committed to the like the historical context, and I'm just like,
uh,
what is happening? Or if it's just I don't
and
know,
he is.
I like that. I still haven't seen the Northman or what's
The,
the one?
the Norseman's very different from most of his work. It's good, it's very good, but it's more sort of. I mean, given the subject, it's much more sort of action oriented, a slightly
Oh,
different,
interesting.
yeah, slightly different
Okay,
feeling to most of his work. I loved
I'll
The
give that one a
Witch.
whirl.
I loved The
I
Witch.
love The Witch. I
Oh,
love The Witch. I love
wow, what a
um
film!
that was such a great, unforgiving
Terrifying,
movie. But
horrible
I mean,
film. I mean, really
I
nasty.
just it's very, very mean. It's a very mean movie. But I like that. I like
Yeah,
movies that are not,
pitiless, right?
like
Totally
don't,
pitiless.
yeah, right? Like don't. I mean, I know some folks like to say things about, like the fuck my feeling, crowd or whatever,
Oh,
but
them, yeah.
or
The people who are like the
but
most sensitive people on earth, who can't stand like other
exactly
people
right.
existing,
Other
even.
people having existences or just
People who get
just
het up
being
over
alive, but
children's cartoons, who think that like Bluey is some sort of agenda-driven piece of
it's woke.
propaganda,
Louise woke. What are you talking about? You're insane.
Sad cases, honestly, they
Right. Like it's some
are.
kind of
They're
yeah,
such sad
but
cases.
it's for sure. But I feel that way about like my entertainment. I guess like
Mm.
you don't need to appease me with a happy ending. Like
No,
if these are the choices these people make, and that's
Mhm.
the context in which it happened, like go for it. Like
Go
I
for it.
okay,
Absolutely. I mean,
that's
all
just
I ask really of any kind of media is that it makes me feel. If I'm perfectly honest,
exactly,
I just want to feel
exactly.
something real. I want to
I just
feel
want to feel
something
something.
sincere.
Yeah,
And if it's
yeah,
dark, if it's negative, then good, good,
that's
good,
fine.
good, great. Excellent. I mean, there are limits. There are limits.
Sure.
There is a very infamous British film that was made in 1984 called Threads.
I
Um,
was just thinking of Threads. I was
mm,
just thinking of Threads as like that
that's
might
my
be.
limit.
I haven't
That's
seen it
my
yet,
limit.
but and the reason why I haven't seen it yet is because it's on my list. I have Threads and Come and See, and
Oh
there's
my
a
God, come and see. Oh my God, come and see. I saw that for the first time this year.
and I'm just like, okay, I want to watch it because I'm that kind of person, but I'm also like, do I
It's
really watch
uh,
it?
it's one of the few films, that and Threads are some of the few films where I would actually say, if you are not feeling 100%
Yeah,
okay, don't watch them.
yeah,
Don't watch
maybe
them.
don't watch it. Yeah, because I have I like to push that limit for myself,
Hmm.
but you also have to know that you
Yeah,
have a limit. And so
definitely,
I've read
definitely.
a lot about Come and See and Threads, and there's
I mean, they're brilliant.
what is
They
it?
they are
They're
like
right. That's what everybody say.
they're
They're I mean they
amazing.
have to be
They're
if they're going to
amazing
make
pieces of fiction. But
people feel the way they do. But
wow,
yeah, I don't know if I ready to pay that emotional cost yet. So let's
they
just
are
see.
like. I mean, Threads in particular, I would say, is a rare example of 120% successful fiction. It does
Oof,
exactly what it intends
wow.
to do, and then goes
What it's
like
supposed to do.
20%
Yeah,
extra over
yeah.
the top. Um, it's just that what it wants is it 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 wants to show you what the consequences of a nuclear war are,
Hmm.
and it
Yeah,
doesn't stint
yeah.
at all. It doesn't shy
I mean, and
away.
you can't, right? I mean, you can't
Right,
for a story like that. That's about the potential annihilation
of
of
everything.
of
like
everything
the future, the death of the
yeah, like the
future.
future itself. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you really can't shy away from that and hold back. But it's also like, damn, do I need to see that?
It's
Because
hard to watch.
yeah,
It's very hard
yeah.
to watch.
I
It's an
appreciate your honesty
amazing
on that.
piece of work.
Yeah,
I mean, like
I
genuinely amazing, but
mm,
I struggle to watch it these days.
yeah. Have
It's
you
a
seen
bit
it more than
much.
once?
Yeah, I've seen it a
Sure.
couple of times, and it every single time. What tends to happen is I have like a year, like a cycle over so many years. So I'll watch it and think I'm never watching that again,
Mm.
and then a few years later, I'll be like, was it as like
Not
affecting as I?
bad.
Should I
Mm.
go and prod
And
that wound again and see? And
you're like,
then it's
oh
like,
no, it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
was that bad.
exactly what I remember. It's exactly what I remember. But Come and See was also, I mean, I saw that for the first time this year. I only discovered that existed this year for the first time. And
Hmm.
it's equivalent to Threads, I would say.
Interesting. That's what I've
Nasty
heard that
film.
comparison.
Nasty film.
Um,
But again, I mean,
yeah, that's
it's what it's trying to do, it is trying to show you the horrors of war.
yeah,
The real horrors of
yeah.
war, not the
I
fictional ones, the real ones,
right. Like I what's that book? Um, I read it. The reason I even know about Come and See is because I read Jerzy Kosinski's The Painted Bird, which is a really harrowing novel.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I don't, and I read it and I was in a really bleak place mentally, and I read it and it was one of those things like it was horrible and horrifying, and it made me feel awful. But
Uh-huh.
at the time, I was like, I don't know. Like at the time, I was just like, yeah, this is,
Give me this,
you
yeah.
know, yeah, like I wanted to feel awful. It was weird, and but I was doing more research about that novel, and people said that like the sort of the visual equivalent of the painted bird is
Is
Come
Come
and
and
See.
See,
So
yeah.
I've been curious about it since then. But then I'm like
Mhm.
reading a book and watching a movie are very
Yeah.
different experiences.
Different
Sometimes,
experiences, yeah. Different
yeah, and so
experiences.
sometimes like I can deal with the book
Hmm.
version better than the movie version because I can, I can get, I mean, I obviously I can like stop the movie or whatever, but
Yeah.
the visual is what makes the difference. So yeah.
I think so, because I mean,
Um,
like with the book, it's limited to your imagination, isn't it? So you have a little bit of internal
right.
control, whereas the film is just
Yes.
giving it to you, right? It's almost
That's
imposing
it.
it on you. You have no choice other
Yeah.
than turning it off. You've no choice but to like
Right. Right.
take the vision of
Right.
the creators.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah, it's I
yeah.
would say Come and See is maybe once in a lifetime.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah,
See,
maybe
that's the
once in
kind
a
of stuff that
lifetime.
gets me though. Like
Me
I'm
too.
like, oh, that's
I will
I mean,
seek
it's
it
once in a
out.
lifetime. I gotta see it. Yeah, exactly.
If people say, "Oh, this is legendarily horrible," then I'll probably seek it out.
But I gotta go. I gotta watch it, right? That's my problem. I have Dr. Chenard's. I had to
Oh,
see. I gotta know, even
oh
though
my
I
God, yeah,
don't need
absolutely.
to.
If there's an
But
identification character in Hellbound, it's Doctor Chenard, right? It's got to be.
it's for sure.
It's got the best line in the whole thing. It's when he stumbles out of that box after he's been
Hmm.
cenobitized, and he says, "To think I hesitated."
I hesitated.
It's
Right.
like, oh, you're enjoying this, aren't you?
Like you're actually enjoying
You're
this,
having
and you didn't,
fun
and
here, yeah.
beginning. Right.
Ooh,
He's
ooh.
so gleeful about it when
I
he
know
starts,
well, he
chopping
finds
people
himself,
up and
doesn't he? Really, as a Cenobite, he finds who he is, and it's like, oh my
yeah,
God, there is actually like a really dark joy to be found in this.
yeah. Parker does that. That's another thing that I think
Yeah.
Parker
It
does
kind of
really,
makes you
really
wonder,
well.
doesn't
And
it? I mean, it
so,
does me. What would Leviathan make of you? What darkness would it
right.
tease out
I
of you?
wonder about that a lot. Like when people say, like, which Cenobite would you be? And, people have kind of silly answers. But I'm like,
Uh,
no, like, what really, what would be the thing? Like, what would be
yeah.
the dark joy
What
that would
would
be in me or would be in you?
yeah.
And
Because that's what it does, isn't it? When the black light of Leviathan shines out of it,
sure,
and it breaks down all of those barriers in your mind, so that
that's so
everything you're
scary.
ashamed of and everything that's
Yeah.
dark in you comes to the surface.
All
It's
those sort of
whoa,
vile appetites. Like, I
whoa.
don't want to know.
Yeah, but
Mm-mm.
at the same time, there's a sort of like touch the wound, I just got to see,
Yeah, right. I
you
mean,
know.
but what if, yeah.
I'm not sure I could keep myself from opening the box. I'm really not sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think, yeah, I've asked myself that question a lot, and
Yeah,
I
would I
think
be able to? I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I
think I'd
think
have to
it would
try.
probably. I think I yeah, exactly. I think I'd have to try. I think I'd have to. I would have to try, and that's what's wrong with us in
Yeah.
a nutshell.
In
So.
well, on that note, Paula, shall we
Yes.
shall we draw to a close? Brilliant. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to shout out there?
Oh, God, I will have some stuff out next year. I'm
Hmm.
working through some pretty uh gnarly writer's block. I have been for the last couple of years, but I'm
Hmm.
starting to work through it. So, just follow me on my socials at Paula D Ashe, PauladAshe, and yeah, I'll have some more you know wound touching fiction for you
Excellent,
uh
excellent.
sometime in the next year.
Brilliant. I'm very,
Thank
very
you
happy
so
to
much,
hear it.
George.
No problem at all. Links to everything below, by the way, guys, including Paula's short story collection. We're here to hurt each other. I've spoken about it before on this channel, but it's one of those pieces I will shout out again and again and again and again. If you like,
Oh, bless
well,
you.
you know what we like on this channel. If you like your Clive Barker, if you like your Billy
Sure,
Martin
sure.
slash Poppy Z. Bright, if you like your very intense, transgressive horror fiction. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll get something out of it. Well, Paula, thank you. Thank you so much. That was brilliant.
Absolutely. Indeed, indeed. This was so fun. I really had a good time, and
Me too.
yeah,
And
I will look into your book and
oh, thank you. Well,
get
actually, I
that
mean, I meant
read.
to mention
Yeah.
because, like, one of the reasons I connected so hard with "We Are Here to Hurt Each Other" is I actually I published it was a while ago now 2 volumes of short stories, big volumes, called "Born in
I need
Blood,"
to read them because
and
you're one of
it
those people. Like, I'm not kidding. When like you recommend something, I'm like, George knows what's up. So like I gotta we're on the
oh
same wavelength. So
oh,
I gotta
I
check
think
that out
so.
for sure.
I think we really are.
Yeah.
Like in terms of taste and what an influence, I think we really
Yes.
are. Because like honestly, when I wrote Born, I mean this was before I read We're Here to Hurt Each Other, but Born in Blood is very, very similar. It's kind of like
Interesting.
it's a collection of short stories, but it's cohered under this mythology, like this common mythology, and it's all
Hmm.
about how we are informed by our trauma and how we find poetry in it and whatnot. So I was like,
Oh my God.
oh wow, she's done very similar, but in like her own way, And I was like, oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm so glad there's someone out there who's kind of thinking in a similar way.
Exactly. Yeah, it is again, it's helpful to see like I'm not the only one yelling
Yeah,
into the void about
yeah,
this. So,
very much, very much. Well,
oh
Paula,
goodness.
thank you, and until next time, guys.
Absolutely.
Bye bye.